Good morning, Kabroda crew. Welcome back. Hopefully y'all are doing well today. A little bit chilly in my room, but nice and warm outside today for sure. We're still at around 100 degrees. Not right now, but that's a high for today again. So still in the warm cycle here today. But yeah, not too bad. Been a good morning so far. Made some sourdough yesterday, so had some of that this morning with breakfast. Went on a walk. Nice little morning, ready to get on some trading here. So hopefully you all are too. Looks like we got a couple. Looks like we at least got one person here so far. So welcome in, Terry. Thanks for joining. Good morning to you. Hopefully your day's going well. So yeah, if y'all get here a little bit late, just go ahead, pop into the chat, say good morning, something like that. Would like to see it. We'll go ahead and say good morning to you as well. But yeah, nice little day here. Nice morning. Nothing to really complain about. So glad to be here. Glad to be on the stream, checking it out. And yeah, we'll see what happens here on the charts today. See if we got anything nice happening. Seeing if anything goes our way or what we can get into. Yeah, we'll see what happens, like I said. Yeah, not looking too bad today. A lot of sideways kind of coming in from yesterday. We kind of, yesterday was Tuesday, so kind of ran up a little bit. Broke out of the top part of our pattern, kind of like we said it's going to. Yesterday it just didn't run hard. Like yesterday we were saying, not a lot of energy, so kind of to be expected, I guess, that we wouldn't run too hard. We did kind of pop up and then kind of retest a couple different times on the line. Didn't break through really. We did kind of pop through a little bit, but not really a full breakthrough until kind of right now. So we'll see what happens with this candle here. It is 8:30, so to be expected. We'll have some volatility there, so we'll see again, what happens there. We're also gonna have to switch up the lines, so we'll see what happens with those as well. Looks like Kathleen's here too. Thanks for joining. Glad to see you here. Hopefully your morning's going well. Yeah, so overall, nice little trading yesterday. Again, nothing super interesting, nothing that we can really jump into. Just the market's just kind of been in one of those states lately. I don't know if it's summer or what, like we were kind of talking about yesterday, but definitely a lot of sideways here. Just kind of coming into the market. So we'll see what happens today. No trades yesterday though. It's just regular old price action, I guess. No energy, kind of sideways price action there. A lot of up, a lot of down, and really nothing really happened at the end of the day. Yeah, let's head on over, I guess, to Kabroda.com, kind of get the levels here, see what's going on, throw them on the chart, see if there's anything kind of happening. Maybe just see what's going on. So I'll tab on over here to Kabroda.com. There we go. All right, so BTC is around 64,493 today. That was as of 8 o'clock. Right now we're sitting around 63,880 around there, maybe a little bit higher. So not too far away from where we were at 8 o'clock, but a little bit, crashed down a little bit. We are bearish today with 3 out of 5 of our indicators showing a bearish signal. So take that as you will, I guess. We are building as well, so we're building some energy here. Definitely not ready to go yet, but we are building. A jewel here today is lined up with the 15-minute bear call there, so that's a good thing for the bears, I guess. If you're trying to be a bull today, that's probably not the best thing, but looking nice for the bearish call there. Again, you know, it's only 3 out of 5, so it's not amazing, but it is there. Multi-agent system today is saying stand down, so we don't actually have a trade here today on the 15-minute. If you're trading our system, there's no trade today. Obviously, you know, if you have your own system, it could be a different story. But that's just, you know, with what we look at and what we're looking for and all that kind of stuff. That's not there for us today, so we're just going to stay away from it. Breakout today is at 64,622, and the breakdown is at 63,999. You can go ahead and grab those levels, take a pause, grab the levels if you want. We're just going to grab the triggers here and throw them on our charts and see what's going on. So we'll open up our indicator here, switch it off from Tuesday onto Wednesday, and we'll change the levels out. There we go. Looks like we're already breaking through the bottom here today. Pretty interesting. We actually already got a nice little break. We'll see what happens. Again, you know, we gotta see a continuation there. It makes sense for it to go down, you know, just based off of the TA from the last couple of days. It's definitely looked like we're gonna get some sort of breakdown. We just don't have a whole lot of energy. You know, just going off the last couple of days again, we just don't have a whole lot of energy here on the market just for that kind of move. So I don't know, we'll see what happens here on the time frames. In terms of lines, the breakdown is actually not looking too great here for our lines. We have a really small gap there, not even a 0.5%, maybe a 0.05%, pretty small. So yeah, not looking too great for the downside because of that. The other thing that I would say is not looking too great here on the lines for the downside specifically is going to be this 30-minute range being so close to the breakout zone. Since we are like pretty close to that breakout zone there, that's not looking too great, honestly. That's not a good thing. You know, just typically what you'll see on these lines, you know, maybe you don't trade these lines that much. But for our system in these lines, and what we've noticed in the past is that if you look at these lines kind of like an indicator, with, you know, obviously there's a couple things in here you kind of look at as the indicator, but one of them, you know, is the gap, like we were just saying. That's an indicator. Again, you know, we don't use that as much anymore, but we used to put some decent amount of weight into that. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal anymore, so, you know, I guess take that as you will, but it's still an indicator, you know, which way we're going to go. So yeah, those don't really matter today. Obviously there's not that great of a gap here on either side. Even on the top side, it's only a 0.18. We normally look for 0.5 or better, 0.5% or better. So obviously those two are just not great. 30-minute range, though, is another indicator. And what we look for with that is we look for what side is it closer to. Well, today it is looking closer to the top side. You can measure it if you want. 0.90% to the top side, and to the bottom it's a 0.5%. So it's looking better to the top side. You know, we're looking like we have a lot more kind of lined up for the upper side. You know, the gap's a little bigger, so obviously it's not what we'd want to see on the gap, but it is a little bigger, so nicer for the top side. 30-minute range is closer to the top side, so that typically means you're going to break out to the top side. And then the last thing we kind of looked for indicator wise on this set of lines and such is going to be when this candle actually closes. We're going to check out and see, well, where is the high and the low of this candle. So this is what we call this a predator candle. Essentially, it's the 8:30 to 8:45 15-minute candle. Whenever it closes, you just take the high, take the low. You'll throw the lines on there. Our indicator automatically does it for us. And then whatever side you break to is typically the side that it goes to. So we can go back and look at yesterday. I believe it actually worked out pretty nicely yesterday, if I remember right. So we'll go back to 8:30 and we'll take the high. and the low. Actually, it didn't work out yesterday. So yeah, you can see we actually set them, and then we broke it to the downside, and then we actually ended up returning, breaking to the upside, and then continuing to the upside. So it didn't work out yesterday. You know, it's an indicator, so it's not always going to work. We could go back here and check. Maybe Monday's worked out pretty well. I'm pretty sure actually it did. Yeah, so obviously it kind of did. So here's 8:30 candle. So we'll do this as well. Oops. We'll do this as well. So there's the candle there. You can see we got the high there. The low is down here, basically on the other green line. And we broke to the upside and just continued after that. You know, obviously, like I said, it doesn't work every single time, but it is another indicator you can kind of look at as, all right, are we breaking to the top side, breaking to the bottom side? Does it line up with all the other stuff we're looking at? All right, maybe that's a good sign. So, you know, I mean, for example, if you're saying today, say this is all you were going to trade, is just these lines. You could say, all right, well, 30-minute range closer to the top side, so that's good for the upper side. We don't really have a gap on either side, so that's kind of neutral. And then we have this candle here forming on the 8:30 candle. When we close this, if we break to the upside, that would be another thing telling us, hey, we're going to go to the upside, and we're going to see continuation there. And you know, maybe if that's your system, you're saying, well, 2 out of 3 of the signals that we're looking for are lined up, and the third one's kind of just neutral. So you know what, I'm going to take this trade to the upside, and you could take it up. You know, you'd have to figure out stops and all of that, but you know, you could take it up to the upside, and that would kind of be what would tell you, hey, we're going to go bullish today. And maybe, you know, same thing for the downside if it's more set up for that there. But you know, we look at a couple more things than that. That's most of it is just kind of done by the AI at this point, but we do look for a lot of different things within the market. Speaking of which, let's back out, zoom out a little bit, kind of see what the longer time frames we're looking at while we're kind of waiting for this candle to close. So we'll look at the 2 hour or 1 hour here. Sorry, kind of sideways. Interesting how it kind of broke up here. You know, we kind of had this nice little flag going here. You know, basically a flat top with a little bit of a rising bottom here. So a nice little flag forming. Basically, you know, we don't trade patterns too much, but typically what happens when patterns like that fire off, you're actually going to see a pull relatively close to the initial move continuation, and we barely ran up like nothing. Like we didn't run up like a third of the zone here. So I don't know, not kind of weird price action. Didn't run up very much. You know, we did get a little pop here, but nothing crazy. Now we're kind of flagging out again, so we'll see what happens here as we continue. Overall on the 1 hour, definitely still in somewhat of a bear trend here. You can see we have the high and then a low, lower high, lower low, and then I guess you could say high and then a lower low. So I guess we did break it sort of. We're more on a warning, or on a micro bear trend maybe, or bull trend I mean. So, you know, kind of broke that bear trends there, and we're flipping to the bull side. So I don't know, maybe we're going to continue up here. This definitely could be maybe a bigger flag of sorts, maybe, you know, more something like this. A little bit of a bear pendant, I believe that's what those are called. Basically, you know, when you see something like this, you're actually going to fire to the downside. So we'll take a trade to the down. We won't take a trade, but you know, it'll trend to the downside if that's the pattern that's playing out. Again, you know, we're not super big pattern traders. We're more playing, you know, the I guess Fibonacci style game. You know, more playing the support and resistance type Really, they're all kind of similar when you actually look at it. You know, if you're looking at the fib levels, so we kind of have our levels, you know, thrown on here in the morning. Let's say we'll throw them on there. Typically, you can kind of see the flag forming in this, and typically if you're below that 0.5 majority of the time, then you're going to go to the downside. If you're above it majority of the time, you're going to go to the upside. Kind of the simplicity of it. But the other thing you can look at within here is kind of the trend of it. So, you know, if we kind of have a flat top sort of there, and then you've seen the bottoms, you know, lower lows or higher lows, come up, and you have that flat top there. Well, that's kind of a pattern in and of itself, you know. The only difference is that we're just using more of math to kind of figure that out. So, you know, obviously the pattern doesn't look all nice and like, oh, well, you know, the trends here, and it's not as much guessing, I guess, and it's more statistics based. But in the end, you know, it's really kind of the same thing. You know, if somebody who's good at pattern trading is going to see the pattern there, the same one that we might draw from using more math and, you know, more based on how we actually would draw it. So it's interesting when you kind of break it down like that, but that's definitely how it's going to look there. So, you know, based on that, we actually could be going to the downside here. So we'll see what happens again, you know. And I believe, yeah, we're trying for the bottom here again on the next candle over. So we got about 3 minutes in, or 2 minutes in, and we're looking for that break of the predator low for maybe possible continuation of the downside. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Terms of the 4 hour, definitely still in a bear trend here. You know, higher low or lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high is what I'm guessing. Obviously, you can't confirm a lower high until you get a lower low after it. So you'd have to see, you know, price come down here and get a close around this area. Otherwise, we're not actually. You know, we didn't actually set a lower high because, yeah, this still has potential. Could run up here if we get it to close above the high here. So around 65,000, that would be kind of telling us, hey, you know what, we're going to flip trends here on the 4 hour and go to the upside. But I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Daily is looking interesting. Kind of got a little bit of a double top here. You know, can't confirm again until you get below this low down here around 57,738. But it's looking like a double top. Definitely, you got maybe top here, pretty similar places, and then we're just looking for a continuation to the downside. So looking good there for the breakdown still. You know, waiting on that pattern to kind of play out and set up, but overall looking pretty good for the downside. Last thing kind of look at is the weekly. We've been talking about this for a while, but you know, there's two levels we're kind of watching, around 80,632 and then 60,055, I believe it is, that we're looking for the weekly to kind of either come down to that 60,055 or go up to the 80,632. Whatever way it goes, that's kind of the way that we're thinking that trend is going to go for a while. So right now, we need it to kind of come down to that 60,055 level to continue on the bear wave 5 of the Elliott wave. And right now, you know, it's kind of sitting pretty close to it, honestly, around 64,000. So not too far of a drop down there, but we need to get a drop and then a close below that 60,055 level to confirm that we are in fact on bear wave 5, and we're going to continue down to around 42 to 45,000. We've been calling closer to around 50, just because that's kind of a big fat round number. But 42, 45,000, that is the actual full-on target that we'd be looking at. So if we did get a close below there, that's kind of our target there. If we got to run up and we get a close above that 80,000 level, that would be something we'd kind of have to come back and look at and reevaluate and kind of see what's going on. Because that would show that we are actually flipping trend here, and we're flipping from this downtrend we've been in to actually going to flip to an uptrend, and we'll see the bulls kind of come in. really on the weekly, until we get one of those, it's not really telling us anything. It's just kind of sideways price action. It could go up, could go down, doesn't really matter. Until we break one of those levels, it doesn't mean anything to us really. All right, that's kind of the breakdown, overall for the whole market. We'll kind of get a little bit more of a breakdown here on the 15-minute and kind of jump in and see what our system's doing by jumping into the newsletter here, or our newsletter style thing that we're going to bring out here pretty soon. We're looking at kind of developing it where you guys would get a sort of letter or email every day with a nice little breakdown of the market and kind of what's happening, what to look for, what to watch out for, stuff like that. Not financial advice or anything like that, just for educational purposes. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jump over there, kind of read through that, see what the agents are saying today, and see what's going on, and we'll go from there. So we'll head on over there. And here is our newsletter. So this is kind of what it looks like if you haven't seen it before. But yeah, we'll just run through this. So Bitcoin is pinned at 64,353. Timeframe conflict vetoes directional trade. BTC is trading around 64,353, suspended between an untouched upper boundary at 64,622 and a major structural cluster at 63,999. With 4-hour and hourly timeframes in direct opposition and 6 sessions of unresolved momentum compression sitting overhead, no directional trade is executable today. The structural map leans short, but the energy is sustained. The energy to sustain a move is either direction, in either direction is absent. So essentially, looking good for the downside, but we don't have a trade actually showing us today. We don't have any energy to push our trade today, to actually push us down to the targets that we're looking to get. The structural picture: BTC remains inside bear wave 4, the corrective bounce off that 60,050 feet 55 wave 3 low, with 80,632 marking the terminal ceiling before wave 5 activates towards the 42 to 45,000 structural projection zone. At approximately 16.6 of the corrective arc complete, the dominant trend points higher from current levels, but today's session is a counter trend battleground, not a continuation setup. Every short trade here is structurally positioned against a corrective bounce. Bear wave 5 and the 42 to 45,000 target remain projection, not confirmation, until price closes a week below 60,055. So kind of long-winded way to say, like we were saying earlier, if we get a close below that level, then we're probably going to go down. If we get a close above, we're probably going to go up. Pretty easy, not above 80,632 or below 60,055. Yeah, I mean, pretty simple, really. So we're just watching for those two levels here on the big time frame, waiting for one of those to kind of set up and tell us which way we're going to go. Market sentiment. So the fear and greed index is registering at 27 out of 100. We are in that fear level, indicating broad market risk aversion at a historically depressed reading. Risk appetite suppressed across the risk asset complex, representing a headwind for directional crypto positioning. Sentiment reading is consistent with the structural picture: low conviction, compressed energy, and elevated probability of whipsaw on any breakout attempt. So essentially, normally when you see levels like this, 27 below, we've been in extreme fear. We've been in both of those for quite a while. Typically, when you see levels like that, you're actually going to see people kind of come in, buy. You're going to see the bottom kind of start forming, and we're going to come to the upside. Obviously, you're not seeing that right now. So the market's kind of just in a weird state because of that. We're in a fear. We're kind of lacking the energy to continue down, yet the market wants to continue down, and you're seeing TA tell us that we want to go down. Different factors are kind of coming in, showing down, but yet we don't have the energy. We don't have anything behind us telling us that we can actually push down and continue down here. Today's energy, so momentum is compressed across timeframes. No clear directional velocity is present in any driving time frame. The short-term ribbon is collapsed at a 0.14% spread below any threshold that supports a sustaining breakout. The momentum canceling itself out across the time frames rather than loading in a single direction. 6-session convergence stack, including an active hourly bearish divergence, a 4-hour momentum overextension culprit, and a cross timeframe exhaustive signal registered at the prior New York close, remains unresolved, compressing energy further and elevating whipsaw probability on trigger acceptance in either direction. So essentially, even if we were to break out to either side right now, we are not looking great for a continuation to where we would actually be targeting today. So there's 2 independent veto conditions firing simultaneously today. First, we have the 4-hour structure being bearish. The hourly momentum is turned bullish directly against that. And there are 2 primary driving time frames, and they're not drifting. They are actively opposed, producing crossfire rather than directional energy behind a breakout. Compounding on this, the momentum state is clearly incoherent across all execution timeframes. The 6-session divergence stack is unresolved, and the prior New York close registered a cross timeframe exhaustion signal. The performance audit confirms 0 directional accuracy from 2 sessions with this energy confirmation configuration this week. Price is at 64,353, sitting pinned in the middle of the 64,347 to 64,493 opening range. Both the upper boundary at 64,622 and the major structural cluster at 63,999 are untouched, and the road structurally open to extension targets in both directions, and no engine is available on either side. So again, we just don't have the energy to continue either way. We're just looking for, we're waiting for that energy. That's really what it is. So why are we staying down today? The structural map leans short given the 4-hour bearish structure in the magnetic pull off of the 63,999 structural cluster, but leaning is not loading. Trigger acceptance below the 63,999 without 4-hour and short-term momentum aligned bearish is a false breakout into a tangled energy state. Trigger acceptance above 64,622 with the hourly divergence resolved and short-term ribbon expanding is chasing an overextended structure into a single session compression ceiling. Both entries are structurally undefended. What would we change, or what would change our kind of sentiment on the market if the short side were to reopen when the short-term momentum rebuilds from a clean compression reset, the ribbon spread expanding above the threshold, 4-hour and hourly directional conflict resolving in favor of the bearish structure, and the 6-session divergence stacks print a resolution candle rather than continuing to compress. The long side setup reopens only if hourly bullish momentum strengthens enough to overpower the 4-hour bearish structure with confirmed directional velocity confirmed at least 3 time frames. Both conditions must resolve independently. One without the other does not constitute a valid entry. So essentially not going to happen today, really. Definitely going to have to continue and wait and see what happens tomorrow. Kind of interesting that is there, because we didn't actually get into that trade, I don't think, but whatever. We are 2 wins, 3 losses for the last 7 days. I think it's actually more than 7 days with the 2 wins, 3 losses, but for the last 7 days we are down 1 R, 1 reward. So it's a tough time. We don't have a lot of direction. It's hard to trade. Definitely a hard market to trade right now. You see it all over. Watch pretty much any YouTuber, anybody really. Watch anybody really, and you don't see a whole lot of conviction. They say, hey, we're going to go up, and you see the price action break down. Say, hey, we're going to go down, price action breaks up. It's just hard to call a market that is like this, with the market kind of looking looking, a lot of low energy, just a lot of, volatility kind of come into the market, but not volatility that you could trade. It's volatility that just kind of rips in your face. It's volatility that makes it hard to call what the chart is actually going to do for the day. So definitely a hard time to be looking at the markets, hard time to really be, trading. Not to say that, everybody's system's not going to be working right now. It's just the majority of people, the system right now is kind of just all their system kind of just telling them, hey, it's time to step back, time to stand down, kind of wait for stuff to kind of set up, and that's kind of that. So yeah, we'll be around, we'll be talking, we'll kind of be going over the system every day. We'll hopefully find out when the market sentiment kind of changes. I mean, we've been kind of talking about it for a while. If we go down, hit that 60,055 level, get a close below, that'll kind of change the market sentiment. We'll be definitely looking more to the downside, should be easier to trade. If we break up to the upside, same thing, get above that 80,632 level, get a close above, that will tell us, hey, what, we're going to break up to the upside. Energy should start returning back in, and we'll have a nice little run to the upside. Probably have some nice trades at that point. But, until then, we're just kind of waiting around. We're checking out the market every day, staying up to date with it, staying on top of it. So we'd love to see y'all here every day, kind of hanging out with us, checking out the market. Hopefully helps y'all learn a little bit more about TA, learn how to kind of see the market maybe in a different way. Even if you're a TA expert, maybe you just check it out, see, hey, something different, something, I don't know, different point of view, maybe. Just kind of check it out. So yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks for coming in again to check us out and see what we're up to. We love y'all being here. Just go ahead and hit that like for us if you can. Helps us, get out to more people, helps more people kind of come and check us out, and hopefully helps us, kind of show them a little bit about RTA, and maybe we'll help them on the road to financial freedom. Who knows? Yeah, if you guys like our stuff, go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit the bell notification if you want to stay up to date with us. But other than that, thanks for coming. Happy trading to y'all, and we will catch y'all tomorrow at 8:30 a.m.